like I think I said in the release that it was it's how we finished the Welsh game. I thought that last 20 minutes showed plenty of energy. So it's a combination that's been training together, and it did in preparation for that role it had 2 weeks ago, and just the great attacking mindset it's got. I think moving Rico back in, it just changes the dynamics a little bit, and just felt for the first part of this game at this stage of the year, going in with a real attacking mindset. It's an opportunity to bring Sevu into the starting lineup, and he's bringing plenty of energy. So it's probably as simple as that.
Cool. And can you just speak to Rico's kind of, I guess, his adaptability this year? No matter, he's chopped and changed and really slotted in where you've needed him, and been able to kind of deliver for you no matter where he is. Just how important a figure has he been for you this year, Fozzie?
Yeah, look, he's played really well, I think, at both wing and at centre, and it's he's got work-ons in both positions each week, because even if he starts in one, he's likely to end up in the other during a game at some point. So it sort of hasn't complicated him in too many situations. I think it's it's not too many players that can actually sort of demand a starting position in two positions, and I think he's shown a great maturity the way he's handled that. And for us, it's given us the opportunity to, I guess, use him in different roles at different phases in the game. But certainly this game is a game we want to get the ball in his hands pretty early if we can, and get him running. And I can't speak more highly of him. I think he's had a great tour. He's growing. I think he's grown quickly as a centre. He's still got some work to do, as everyone has, but delighted with his progress.
Thanks, Mark. We'll go to Ollie Ritchie and then Elliot after that.
Thanks, Joe. Hope you're well, Fozzie.
Thanks.
Just wonder if you could speak to Sevu's inclusion a bit more. Has he had to be quite patient in a way? He's probably been in quite good form, but maybe hasn't had a lot of the opportunities he might have hoped for, particularly starting opportunities. Has he just had to almost bide his time in a way?
Well, I guess so, and it's been like that for a number of players, really. It's to give everyone some opportunities. It's meant that some people have had a bit more time on the bench, and but he's trained well. He's I think came through things pretty well. I thought he looked a little bit fidgety last week. It had some times that wasn't quite as composed as I would have liked to see him. But we've got a lot of faith in his desire to get involved in the game, and things can happen around him, and he's going to get exposed to a different degree of pressure in another way, and it's a good chance for us to learn about him. But we know in these sort of games he's got the skill set to handle that, and he's certainly got the enthusiasm to inject some energy into what we want to do.
And just like I said from me, you've given Ethan Blackadder the nod again. He obviously just keeps growing in this environment. What makes you confident that you can throw him into a ring against Ireland at the Aviva Stadium? I suppose based on what you've seen so far.
Well, it's looking at utilising the different skill sets of some of the six options we got, and it's a very physical, close quarter game up here, and I think that suits him. He's got a lot of energy. He plays the game. He's pretty uncompromising in what he does, and he's adding the skill part to his game all the time. So we know it's going to be a battle up front. The Irish pack's a tough pack. The breakdown's important, and the quality of your ball carrying and your defence is important. And in a couple of those areas, Ethan's sort of, I think, made quite an impact for us.
Thanks, Ollie. Elliot, jump in.
Thanks, Joe. Hi, Ian. Hope all's well over in Dublin.
Yes.
Can you just talk to the selection you've made at first five? Do you now see Bowden as your first choice playmaker, or is this a selection with mitigating circumstances?
I'm not quite sure what selection with mitigating circumstances means. I've got two quality 10s, and we're running with Bowden, and that's about as simple as I'll say it. I thought, I'm really happy with both of them. I thought, in in a messy game. Richie showed some great touches last week and showed what a quality footballer he is. So, but like I've said all along, got no qualms of both of them. So, but we just feel that right now for what we want to do early, that Bodie's the one.
And just on Anton Leonard-Brown at 12, he hasn't played in 12 for a couple of years. Were you always looking to move him back into second five at some point this year?
Well, he played 12 2 weeks ago against Wales for 25 minutes. So, I think we often forget the changes that happen in the game. And so, he's covered 12 on a number of situations this year and does so regularly at training. We're pretty confident of that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Elliot. We'll go to Ed, Elliot, then Kieran, and then Liam.
Hi Ian, thanks for your time.
Pleasure.
There are obviously the three Kiwis in the Ireland team in James Lowe, Gibson Park and Bundy Aki. I mean, New Zealand have obviously got a lot of strength in depth, but have those players not gone abroad and played for Ireland, do you think any of them could have been in contention for your squad? Are they good enough for that?
Well, look, all I'm going to say is they're originally, I guess they're Kiwis in one sense, but they're Irish now, so don't really want to talk too much about the opposition. They're three people that have made a decision. They play for Ireland, and what will be and what could have been, it's almost irrelevant.
Cool.
I mean, it's not a new thing going up against maybe New Zealand-born players, but do you still find it a little bit strange? No,
I think nowadays the rules are the rules, and those three, like a number of others, have made decisions. So, and they've made a decision to be Irish. So it's not much point speculating about whether they would have been good enough to make it in New Zealand or not. It doesn't seem to. I don't really want to spend any time on that because they're the ones that made the call.
Thanks, Ed. Kieran, jump in.
Hi Ian, how's it going? You mentioned that you had been watching Ireland's development with interest over the last weeks and months. Can I just ask you your thoughts on what you see as the main characteristics or the key characteristics of an Andy Farrell coached team?
Oh, look, I don't think I can classify in words, but I think Ireland have got some characteristics themselves as a team over the last 5 or 6 years that haven't changed. They're well organised. They're physical. They clearly understand their roles and they play accordingly. So I think that aspect hasn't changed, and that's a positive thing I say about Irish rugby when I say that. So I think they've been a quality team this year and getting better. So. But I think what we are seeing is probably a expansion and ambition of what they want to do with the ball, and they seem to be more at ease about taking opportunities wider and being comfortable playing like that. So credit to them, and it just means you've got to open your eyes and be aware that they've got more threats in attack than perhaps what they would have had 24 months ago.
Thanks. Liam, jump in and then we'll go to Joe Porter.
Yeah, hi Ian.
Yep.
It's been a long tour, but you always sort of knew that this would build to a natural sort of climax for the year. You managed to manage your squad in recent weeks. What's your sort of sense of where the team's at to deliver what you want? And what's a big end to the year?
Yeah, like the team's we've prepared with as much energy as we've got, and I'm excited by that. If you think about it, we've had 2 blocks of 5 tests in a row, and the last block in the southern hemisphere we finished with 2 tests against South Africa, and now we're finishing this block of 5 tests in a row with Ireland, and obviously there's a game next week. So we've been able to plan accordingly around that. There's no denying the fact it's a second block of 5 tests in a row, but am I excited about our preparedness? Yeah, I am. I think we're as ready as we can be for this game, and certainly we're not lacking in any motivation. So these are the big stages that we seek, and as a team, I think we're I think we're still a developing team. To be honest, I think we're still growing in what we want to do, and these are the games that you really put a marker down, and you get the answers of where you're at in some aspects. So can't wait to give it everything and see what happens.
Yeah, no, I guess just from your perspective, these are the sort of challenges that you relish as the head coach, because as you mentioned there, you learn a lot about your players and a lot about your strategies and whatnot.
Oh, look, there's no doubt about that, and it's about the players, the strategies. It's about how you adapt in a game, because you know that there will be things and situations that are chucked at us that that'll be new to this particular group, and we're going to have to deal with that. And for a group that a significant number haven't played a lot of tests up in the Northern Hemisphere, it's a great experience for this particular group. So, but we've got plenty of experience on one hand to know what's coming, and again, these are the games that you really want to be involved in, and we love playing at Aviva Stadium. We respect the attitude up here, and bring on Saturday.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Liam. Joe, Porter, jump in, mate.
Morena, Fozzie, how are you?
Morena, Joe. Very good, thank you.
Hey, just wondering if you could speak to what it's like to play in Dublin, what the stadium there is like, the Irish crowd, and also 2018, is there any relevance from the lessons you learned then and playing that test for this weekend?
Yeah, well, the relevance of 18 is that we don't like losing, and it's but what we've learnt, and we've felt this before with teams up here, is that they've got big crowds, they've got excitable crowds that really get in behind the team and feed off any sort of, I guess, sense of weakness or hesitation in visiting teams. And so and we've got an Irish team that's going to try and put us under a lot of pressure and really get that crowd in behind them. So the fact that Aviva hasn't been filled too many times in the last 2 years with COVID and all that means that I'd say the noise levels that we're probably at 100% are probably going to be about 110% if there's such a thing.
Awesome. Thanks, Fozzie.
Cheers, Joe.
Michael, Glennon, do you want to jump in now?
Yeah, hi Ian. Just wondering, Ireland got a lot of praise and plaudits for their performance against Japan, and maybe a lot of people over here thought that it showed a different picture of how they can play. Was it the same for you when you're doing your homework, when you look back at the match? Did that surprise you on any level, or did it just paint a different picture for your plan for the week?
Look at, I wouldn't say it surprised us, but you got to be impressed with the performance. But, performances are based on the opposition that you're playing, and I guess, and I'm assuming that Ireland were pretty motivated against Japan, after what happened in the World Cup. So I think that what we saw was a very motivated team that had a great intention to play, and like I said earlier, it's there's no denying that they look a little bit more comfortable with the ball and have an intention to move a little bit more. But we also saw that in the latter part of the Six Nations. So we're not we didn't put too much on last week's game, but when you combine that with what we saw in the growth during the Six Nations, I think it shows that they're a team well prepared. But so are we. We're slow to get in like that too, and it's I think it's going to be a great battle for Test match rugby. I think it's for everyone who sort of feels that Test matches need some other competition, to motivate teams to play. I mean, you're going to see two very, very motivated teams on Saturday, rest assured.
That's it.
Melissa, we'll go to you next.
Buongiorno Ian, how are you doing?
Sto bene, grazie Melita.
Excellent. Ian, listen, with the uncertainties due to COVID in 2020, and do you think that this tour, despite the fact that it's been incredibly long and incredibly hard, if you look back on it maybe in January, do you think that this tour came at the right time and allowed you to create cohesion with the team, the bond with the players, the bond with the management, and allowed you most of all to actually to know your players, especially the new ones? like it allowed you to create really that group that you'll be looking for to go to France in 2023?
Yeah, well, I think in January I'll be sitting on a beach at Whangamata and hopefully not thinking about the tour. But but I get the question, and I think what you're talking about is, is certainly a goal of what we want to achieve out of the tour. And when you go away for this long, it's very unique, and we have really focused on what you were talking about, is of using it as a way of really tightening this group up, pressuring it, learning what it's like when it gets squeezed, and also to test itself to see whether we're going okay and where we need a bit of growth. And I think we're learning a whole lot of stuff about this group at that point. But what we are seeing in terms of growth from last year to this year is a high degree of consistency in the work right from Monday through to Saturday. And I think, last year we had our ups and downs, and we had fluctuations, and not just in results, but probably in the qualities of training and stuff like that. Whereas I think this year we're really delighted with the attitude of when we need to get into our work, and so we're learning some good habits, and hopefully over the next 2 years we'll spend time refining that and making sure that we produce some pretty battle-hardened athletes for what the world stage has to show us.
Thanks, Melita. We'll go to Mark Hinton and then finish up with Rory O'Connor.
Boss, just a quick check on injuries. Anyone other than Brad and Angus unavailable for you this week?
Joe?
No.
No, just those two.
Okay, can I just check in on Offa? What stage is he at? I mean, obviously not quite ready to play in the 23. It's been a tough old year for him. Just where's he at?
Yeah, no, he's fine. He's really is available for selection, and actually he's training the house downs. Had a great training week this week. He's just getting better and stronger each week, Mark, off the field. So, we obviously gave him half a game last week, and just deemed that there's probably still a little bit more in him.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, Rory, you take us out with last questions for Foz.
Thanks, Joe. Just one for me. Hi, Ian.
Hi, Rory.
Can I just ask you, I mean, Ireland's out half succession planning is not your problem. But what do you make of Johnny Sexton still doing what he's doing at 36, and what sort of a threat does he bring? Is it the same as always, or are you seeing different things in his game?
Yeah, well, it's we haven't seen a lot of them the last 3 or 4 months, obviously, but last week he looked sharp. He's a quality operator, and I think the fact that he's captain shows that there's obviously high regard for what he does within that unit. So, I don't think age is anything really. It's really about the athlete, and you've really got to know him personally and see him operate to know how old he feels. But he certainly doesn't look like a person who's got a very old attitude. He looks from the outside, he's very competitive and wants to get engaged. So I guess that's a quality that they're still loving.